18.
No!
Alright, go live.
You look so young.
We're live.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Sorry,
you're
Jesse.
good.
Jesse's just trying to do his thing, and we're all just over here being a bunch of dinguses.
That's us. We
That's
are
what we're
the
good at.
nut
That's what
gallery.
the people came to see.
It's what the people want.
Everyone in the chat, if you can hear us, let us know how everything looks and sounds.
I'm getting an ad for medication reminder, apparently. Alright.
Ooh, I didn't get an ad.
Weird ad.
No ad money
Weird
for
ad.
Jesse for me.
No ad, no money.
Is it in HD for people? Because it won't let me click on. Like it just goes to
It
360.
says, yeah, you got that
It looks
1080p
fine.
for me.
Okay, maybe that's just
Yeah.
the preview window it has here. Okay, so
Sweet.
if it all looks and sounds good, I guess we can begin.
Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Take us away, Captain.
Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast, episode 158. I should say I have a sort of experimental setup, and we're going to see how it goes. And if it fails in the middle, don't worry. Daniel's here to save the day to start streaming, so it'll all be fine. And, yeah. It's the first time in a long time we've had the entire Gamescast here. Daniel, Cap Bergerson,
Hello.
𝗵𝗵𝗃, and the Geek Apprentice.
No, confirmed. Tubes and I are not the same person. We were both here.
Confirmed. Yeah, it's confirmed now.
Was there a
That's been a
theory?
thing
Jesse-
now.
There was a
Because
theory
we're never on at the
going
same
around.
time that we were the same person.
Oh my gosh.
We're
Continuing.
using clever VTuber technology
Yes.
to simulate one of them, but you'll never know which one. and Jesse's now here for real on his laptop, not
Yes.
his phone. It's incredible. Listen to that buttery voice, everybody. It's smooth and creamy. And
I am. So I still have internet issues, but I'm using the hotspot off of my phone, which somehow is working, apparently. So there's that. And,
Okay.
yeah, it's weird. But I'm weird, so it's good. We're going to be talking about the Skyward Sword dungeons, Daniel's new tradition that he brought to the Gamescast. And then,
we're doing Skyward Sword dungeons today. Okay.
Yeah, I thought
Surprise!
didn't get
We skipped
mentioned.
Twilight Princess.
Wait,
Oh, I was the one that asked about that because I haven't finished Twilight Princess.
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, no worries. No, we're good. I'm good for any of them, really, so.
Likewise.
Cool. And
Yeah.
One day I'll finish it. I've done one whole dungeon of Twilight Princess.
I believe in
Taking
you.
me like 3 months.
Okay, I also haven't beaten on the Switch since they came out Skyward Sword, and what was the last one that came out?
Link's
should be-
Awakening?
Yeah, Link's Awakening. I didn't beat that.
What game have you beaten, Kayla? Let's be real.
Wario.
No
What?
shame, because I finished my first game ever on stream, and everyone's like, I thought you were... I was like, that's why we call me Apprentice. I don't finish games. I get to the hard stuff and go, well, that was fun. I'll watch someone else now. It's fine.
It's fine. This is fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. Jesse.
Yeah, so the first piece of news I thought would be a fun discussion topic. E3, we all know, was canceled this year. They're not doing it digitally or in person, which is kind of odd, but most of the people did their presentations away from it anyways. Microsoft with Bethesda announced like a couple of days ago that they were having their... Obviously they named it something different. I think it was just like a Microsoft plus Bethesda conference, something, blah, blah, blah. But it was June 14th or something like that. And it made me think, do you guys think Nintendo will still do something for their E3 Direct, because they didn't have their Directs at E3, but they still participated with E3. But their Directs were always just their Directs on its own. And before Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed, I assume we all pretty much thought that was going to be the big game that they were going to focus on with the treehouse and everything. So I was kind of wondering what you guys think about Nintendo with their Direct. When do you think they're going to still have one in June, as Microsoft is, despite E3 not being there? And if Breath of the Wild 2 isn't the game they focus on, which it still could be, what do you think they will focus on? Because you mentioned Splatoon 3 earlier in the chat, Daniel. It and Xenoblade got their dates swapped around, which was
they
weird.
got changed.
Yeah. So it's interesting as well. But yeah, you go, Daniel.
Yeah, well, I mean, Breath of the Wild sequel could still be like their big focus, absolutely. But I mean, lately Nintendo has definitely pivoted towards marketing things very close to release date. So it's funny because you bring up Splatoon 3. I was just gonna say as well, like Splatoon 3 comes out early September, and Splatoon is huge, especially in Japan. But regardless, like for such a new IP, it's incredibly enormous. To the point where, like, in a lot of Nintendo's marketing, it's right up there with Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon. That's like some of their big 4, big 5 games. Splatoon is right in there, right? So it's I would like to see a lot of that. I think it's very likely to see that because we still don't know that much about the game or what even is special about it. Like what sets it apart from Splatoon 2, what's different. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. So it feels like a good time to really like flesh out a lot of those details and I don't know, just communicate to people why it's actually worth getting this game over or moving from 2 to 3, that kind of thing. So yeah, I feel like Splatoon is a pretty safe bet. Just a demo. Arlette in the chat says would like to play a demo of Splatoon 3. I definitely agree with that. I think a demo is a great way to do it. Like they just did. Because like Switch Sports comes out tomorrow. Is it tomorrow that it comes out? It's like really soon. Yeah, tomorrow. They did a demo for Switch Sports. Plenty of games, really. I don't have to list them off. Tons of games get demos. Splatoon should be no different, in my opinion. So I think actually before Splatoon 2, they did those like test fire, the global test fires. Didn't they do that? And I seem to recall ARMS having that too, where it's like an online demo that you could play online with people at like specific dates. I could definitely see them doing some of those during the summer as well. Maybe like 2 or 3 dates during the summer and just have those online global... is that what they called it? Global Test Fire? I want to say that's what it was called.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't either. Splatoon 2 was 2017, right? So it's like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Okay.
It's like, I remember when they announced Splatoon 3, and I was like, that's really weird because like Splatoon 2 didn't come out that long ago. And then I was like, wait, no, it totally did. It was like 5 years ago. And like the gap between Splatoon 1 and 2 was only 2 years. So like, you know, it definitely makes sense actually to have a sequel or a threequel. So yeah, I've talked enough about that one. Who's next? All right, I'll just keep talking.
Well, I mean, we all came here just to listen to you. This is like our story time with Daniel.
This is our story time. I'm drinking my cup of tea. I'm listening to you talk.
Oh no.
Okay, so I think
I've got my slide.
what was the random date I gave a couple of weeks ago, Daniel? June 8th.
Was that it? I don't remember.
I'm going to double down on June 8th, even though Nintendo's usually the one that goes after all the other companies, because obviously you have to save the best for last. And I think they would still do a bunch of Breath of the Wild 2 stuff, but maybe it wouldn't be as focused on Breath of the Wild 2 as it otherwise would have been if it was still releasing this year. And yeah, they have like a bunch of games, like there was the list of games where they had a big game coming out like almost every other month or every month. And some of the months they had more than a couple of games. And I'm sure they have other big third-party stuff that they haven't announced yet. But I think they will have one. It'll either be after all of the other ones like they normally do. I wonder if it, like... I want to go back and look if Microsoft's date is the same as it was last year or the year before. Because it's usually like the second or the third Tuesday of every month or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, I am looking forward to it, and I hope we get real games announced to play and not like the Kingdom Hearts games where it's you have to stream them, because in situations like I'm in right now, I just would not be able to play any of them. So, yeah.
I'm just in general not a fan of cloud versions of games because
they're too fluffy.
Like, I'm already dubious about downloaded or like just digital games already. Like, there's some games I bought digitally, I admit it, but I would rather have physical if I can always. And cloud version just feels like even less ownership than a digital game. Like, once it's not even a matter of okay, well, once the server's gone, you can't download it again. It's like, oh, once the server's gone, you just can't play it again. I'm the kind of guy that holds on to my games for decades, and I dig them out and do play them, you know? So, yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah, I just, cloud, no good, no.
See, that's funny because all of my games are digital. Like, I actually have, like, a select few physical, but I think that's just because I don't like going to the store.
You can order things online. Like, I bought the Ori collection, and it took 2 weeks for Best Buy to deliver it.
See, that's why I don't do it that way. That's why I buy it online, because I want to have that instant gratification.
I get that.
Sorry. We just like pulled off from Jesse's tangent about Microsoft.
Yes, sorry, Jesse.
No, I was done.
I was just agreeing with your distaste for cloud.
That was basically it. There's not much to say, but it was something that people were asking us to talk about. So since a few people were asking it, I thought we could go ahead. That way, if they were in the chat, they wouldn't be just all asking it again.
Yeah.
And it was sort of topical since Microsoft and Bethesda announced theirs. I'm sure Sony is going to do their weird digital event thing that they've been doing, like their versions of the Nintendo Directs, just not as good. And then, yeah, I guess Square Enix and the rest of them still have stuff to announce. But I hope we'll get some interesting stuff. Yeah. I just hope it's not cloud. And I'm worried that a bunch of cloud stuff will be released. From third parties, at least.
Like for Nintendo?
Look,
yeah. Because most of the third parties are making games now that are meant to be running on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. And the Xbox Series S
but if
already
they could
streams
get The
games.
Witcher 3 running on Switch.
Yeah, but it also drops down to like 360p at times.
Sure, but it still goes.
And games
still goes.
Games are still getting better because there's The Witcher 3, and then there's Elden Ring. Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Is Elden Ring on
I'm
Switch?
sorry.
What?
Is Elden Ring on Switch?
No.
No.
Oh. I thought that was what you were trying to say. The games were getting
No, I'm
better
just saying
because...
that games are still getting better, and I still don't think that the Switch could necessarily keep up with where they're at.
Yeah. Because before they were porting... Like, they were barely getting PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games running on Switch. Unless you know a friendly wizard and he does magic for you, and then you can get games like Witcher 3 running on the Switch. But now all the third parties are working on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, like the newer generation, which is even more powerful than the Switch. So I think it would just be that much harder of a time to get those games running on a Switch. So I think more people or more companies would be more into doing the whole cloud streaming thing. I think Capcom was the first to do it, and then Square Enix with the Kingdom Hearts stuff. And there's a bunch of really cool third-party games that I would like to play, but it would just suck if it comes out and it's like, oh, here's all these cool games coming to Switch, but you can only stream them.
Right.
Yeah. Geek?
I don't really have many different thoughts. Sure, focusing on Breath of the Wild could still be a thing, but with it being delayed, I imagine Nintendo wants to make sure they market stuff coming out this year so that they don't get left in the dust, if you will. There could still be something shown, but it would be like a focus. I don't think. I'd be happy to be proven wrong because Breath of the Wild is what I care about most. But I wonder, because this is still like a topic people are debating, is like, well, are we going to get a Zelda this year at all with there being a delay? Are we going to get a port? Are we going to get a remake? Was there, what has already been in the works? Is there something that's been in the works that is now going to be like, finish it faster? Would that be shown then? That'd be great if it was June 8th, except not great, because that's the day after the recital for me, so I will be like dead. But I'd be able to be there and be before summer classes start, so I'd be like, I'm here. My whole body hurts, but I'm here. But that would be a fine by me. Yeah. I don't really have many differing thoughts on that. But yeah, I just hope that we still get some sort of Zelda game this year. Zelda's where I'm at.
Zelda.
That's a totally good point, though, in that it's like, that is kind of the perfect time for them to announce whatever Zelda project is releasing this year, because ideally it would probably then either release sometime in the summer or holiday release, right? I mean, it's too late to do any other window. So so yeah, I mean, it's like,
and that would give it
not
about 6
E3,
months
but like
before.
for E3 ish. Yeah. So I mean, that seems like the perfect time to announce it, because they've certainly done more impromptu announcements, like announce something
Age of Calamity.
1-2 months before. Yeah, or Age of Calamity, or like the Paper Mario game on Switch. That was like 2 months before its release date. They just like announced.
Dropped out of nowhere.
If I remember
totally
correctly, that was supposed to be announced with the Nintendo, or not the Nintendo, the Mario anniversary stuff, but it leaked, so they announced it early.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what if their presentation is just Sakurai taking over the stream, asking for help because Nintendo just won't let him leave?
I'll be somehow not surprised, actually.
Yeah.
Because that's
Poor man.
Yeah, that's another thing people I've seen
Needs a break.
Talking about is like, what is Sakurai's next game? If it's not Smash Bros, would it be like Kid Icarus or something else that he's worked on before? Or yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Shubs. Hi. What do you think is going to happen? What would you like to see?
Yes, I think that they will probably do something around E3 time. Yeah, it's really weird with the way that the games have shifted around and how that kind of shifts what that E3 focus would have looked like. How long ago did they even announce that they weren't doing an E3 this year?
Last month?
It was like
Was it?
3-4 weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That feels
Yeah.
so close to having E3 for a game company to really decide what they're going to focus on, right?
And the like E3 like showcase is not something that they just throw together that week of. Like
No.
they
Right.
definitely plan ahead, and it takes a long time to plan ahead what they're doing and who's doing what and who knows what and everything, right? So it's they probably, by the time the E3 announcement came through, they probably already had their whole showcase planned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I interrupted, sorry.
No.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
I was just thinking about it. And yeah, actually, I really do echo what Geek is saying. It would be nice if in the next one they're going to showcase something else Zelda related for us, being that we're getting a delay. And yeah, I think that's all I have. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, before we get to the next topic, Geek, would you happen to know anyone who may have posted a video in the past week or so about this very specific thing?
You mean about Zelda Switch remakes?
Mhm.
Yeah, I dabbled in that area, and it got more views than I expected. I'm like, bruh, I'm not the first to talk about this, and I didn't even say anything unique, but cool! Yeah, I have a little video. It's mostly my opinion and slash regurgitating some things I've heard other people say that I agree with. Mostly just me being like, yeah, I don't see these games coming over. I would like this game to come over, but I imagine they would pick this game over this game because of this. I won't say hate, but there was definitely a lot of people that were like, how dare you knock Twilight Princess? I'm like, I didn't say Twilight Princess was bad. I just said I think other games should be brought over sooner than Twilight Princess, but people are bent on Twilight Princess is the best option to bring over. I'm like, it might be, I don't know, I'm not Nintendo. It was just my opinion. But yeah,
Right.
I have a video about that. Just thoughts.
It's a good video, as well. I watched that one. But no, you're totally right, though. Twilight Princess is, like, already a pretty accessible game as far as, like, ways to play it go. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there is that.
Well, what
There are definitely
baffled
other
me
games
was people being like,
benefit.
well, I don't have a Wii U, so I want Twilight Princess. I'm like, well, you're not the only person in existence, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of people. I have a Wii U as well. Or, like, I do have a Wii U, but, like, you know, because someone else could easily say, like, oh, well, we don't need the Oracle games because I still have mine on my Game Boy Advance.
Right.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
just opinions, y'all. But people didn't like me saying that Twilight Princess didn't deserve it over others. I'm like,
Aw.
I really want a Link Between Worlds. But that's just me. I really want to.
The irony of it is the people who would say that, like, about, I want Twilight Princess, is they're probably people who have played it a lot and really love it. And that's why they're saying they want it on the
Probably.
Switch, which I sympathize with. I agree with.
Sure.
But it's
I
exactly
want an
your
Ocarina of
argument
Time,
for
and
why
how
they
many times have I
shouldn't
played
be.
that?
Yeah.
Fair.
It's just ironic because it's like the whole argument was that these are games that are very accessible, very easy to get your hands on and play. So it would be better for a game that is not so readily available. And the people who have probably already played it are like, no, it needs to be this game that I've played 20 times.
Yeah. Which in the
I did
end,
say I think
you
sometimes
never
people don't
know
want
with
new
Nintendo.
content. I sometimes
know.
think people do not want actual new things that they haven't experienced before, which
Yeah.
is not always great. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But
Sorry.
You never know with Nintendo, you know? They could be like, let's do Wind Waker or Twilight Princess because those would be easy. Or they're like, we have had, you know, the Oracle games in the works. Or maybe they did have the Minish Cap. Which I was clear in that video, I was like, I don't know why, I just don't see Minish Cap coming over. But if it does, great. I would love that.
So I just looked up the date that they announced the Direct for, or not the Direct, Xbox's weird thing,
Right.
was June 13th, which is a Sunday, and it's around the exact same time as June 12th last year, which was the Sunday last year at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. So apparently E3 closing did not change Microsoft or Bethesda's plans for their presentation at all. And
it makes sense though because they were already operating outside of E3 technically, right?
Yeah.
They were just kind of piggybacking, right? That
And-
totally makes sense. They were just doing their own thing.
last year, Nintendo's was on June 15th, which would have been like,
That's right.
yeah. So it seems like, from what I've seen, instead of going on like the same day, like June 12th every year, it's like the second Sunday or Friday or whatever of June that they go with. And yeah, so now I wonder if, I would love to see like PlayStation announce theirs and then Nintendo announce theirs for the exact same time.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Start a
Oh my.
war. Anyways,
They would never. Jesse just wants to watch the world burn.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
So the
no.
second topic is this kind of came out a couple of days ago. Daniel had some thoughts on it earlier. I'm sure he'll remind us. Yeah. So Digital Foundry, who is like the biggest tech analysis for like graphics and textures and frame rates and different GPUs and consoles and comparing everything. And they had a video where they were talking about Breath of the Wild 2, how it looks like it is a solid, steady 1080p in the cutscenes, but also in the actual gameplay parts that we've seen, where like Link's flying around the 𝗵𝗃 and the Stylus and running on the Sky Islands and stuff. And it doesn't drop frame rates anywhere. Like Korok Forest, notoriously, will get down below 20 frames. And on the Switch is a dynamic resolution of 900p, but sometimes it'll drop down close to 720p, which is closer to what it is on the Wii U. So, Daniel, you had some stuff to say earlier about how you don't think they are completely accurate.
Well, before I get into that, there's a super chat from 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏 that I'm going to read out, who says, "Hello, Hylians. Happy Thursday. Kahoot tonight?" I don't think we're doing Kahoot tonight, are we?
I didn't have it planned, no.
I don't think so.
The dungeon is taking over that.
And whoa, Chubes and Geek are both here, so they're not the same person after all. Theory debunked. That's right, 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏. Our VTuber technology is so good. No, they're not the same person. Thank you for the super chat, though, 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏. Appreciate it so much. So much. But yes, about this Digital Foundry thing. The thing I think that they are all overlooking is that this is not gameplay footage, it's a trailer. And if you go back and watch the trailers for the first game, for Breath of the Wild, it's like that. It's the same thing. There's no frame drops in the trailer. Everything is super crisp and clear looking at 1080p at a steady 30 frames per second with no frame drops. And that's because it's a trailer captured on probably development hardware and not off of a console using a capture card. And that's the way game companies do their game trailers. And so yeah, I think that's something a lot of people are overlooking when they're looking at this footage and being like, this looks too good to be on Switch, it's got to be on next gen console. That's we could have said that about Breath of the Wild as well. If you like, I went back earlier today in anticipation of talking about this on the podcast and rewatched those like old Breath of the Wild trailers from 2016, 2017, and I'm like, yeah, these look crystal clear, like way clearer than the game actually looks.
Wouldn't those have been
like
Wii U as well? Because the first trailers were for
and
Wii U.
I think the first trailer I shouldn't say first trailer, but yeah, like the 2016 trailer that I watched today was definitely like a Wii U trailer because the Switch hadn't even been unveiled yet, and it was like the E3 trailer, so the E3 demos were all Wii U. And then I watched the 2017 trailer, which was actually, I think, like more so promoting the Switch version, right? Because it was at that Switch event in the January of that year. And so yeah, it was. The thing is too is like there's no way it's gameplay footage because they always capture these like dynamic camera angles and stuff like that, and these wide scenery shots and stuff that just like you couldn't do that on a console. It has to be some kind of development hardware. And I'm not a game developer and I'm not a tech expert like Digital Foundry, but like common sense is what I am an expert in apparently. and so yeah, like I think people are focusing on the wrong things here. I think the game is going to be gorgeous. I think it's going to look great. But this footage, analyzing this footage, there's no reason to believe that it's not going to run on the Switch, in my opinion. Because the footage we're looking at is already probably not going to be a good indication of that because it's probably not captured on Switch. So it's not a accurate representation of how it'll look in the end, necessarily. So... art style aside, I should say. You know, that's my thoughts about that. I there was another thing I mentioned too, was that I've been listening to a lot of Kit and Krista podcasts, which they say they have zero insider knowledge, and that they, because they no longer work for Nintendo, but these are former Nintendo employees, and they were weirdly adamant that it's going to be on Switch and not a next-gen platform, but they were also very adamant that they don't have insider knowledge, and that's not what this is. But, you know, take that how you will. So, yeah, yes. So yeah, that's all. That's my spiel. I've talked enough.
Okay, so
anyone else want to throw their hat in the ring?
My somewhat lengthy thoughts on this is, with Breath of the Wild, it began development on the Wii U, and then within a year of the release, it was started to get ported to the Switch. So the game was still in developing in the final stages when they decided to bring it over to the second console, and they were really adamant about keeping the two versions as close to each other as possible, which is why they took out a bunch of the Wii U features, and really the only difference is that one's supposed to be 900p and the other one's supposed to be 720p. And with Breath of the Wild 2, it was shortly, a month after Breath of the Wild 1 released on Switch, there was a bunch of areas like Korok Forest where the game would slow down a lot, and they patched it to where it ran better and it didn't drop down to 15 frames. It stayed somewhere around 20 at the lowest, and it didn't drop the resolution as much, and that was just 1 month extra to work on that. And if they were able to do that in that 1 month time, then I imagine if they are only working on this game for the Switch, then all that time creating the sequel just for one console instead of starting it on a weaker console and then trying to make it look as good as possible on the next console, then they can have more time and they have more experience with the engine and everything. And they obviously, games like Doom or Call of Duty or whatever, the next game always looks better, even if it's on the same console, because they learn how to do more stuff with the engine, make improvements, or they know how to use the hardware itself more efficiently. And on top of that, they also have the little, I almost said Wii Sports, Switch Sports, the aliasing, the Fidelity FX thing that they could be using for Breath of the Wild 2. If the game natively is just rendering at 720 or 900p, but then the AMD FX is making it render at 1080p, then that could be an additional reason why it does look so good if it is running on a Switch instead of a computer or development kit, as Daniel suggested. But the other thing is, it's not just the graphics and resolution. Well, the resolution and the frame rate, that's perfect, but they also go into detail on how the draw distance, you can see all the way to Death Mountain, and you can still see details on Death Mountain. And before, in Breath of the Wild 1, where something would be so far away and then it would disappear, which I really, really hate when you're trying to chase a certain animal. In Breath of the Wild 2, there were things loading with more detail a lot further than the original. So it was basically like Breath of the Wild 1 turned to max settings, but obviously it's not in 4K or anything like that, so I strongly doubt it is another console, because they even showed off the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild 1 when they could have showed off the Switch version the first couple of times. I feel like the first time we seen Breath of the Wild on Switch was the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I also remember that a lot of people dissected that footage and were like, this off-screen camera footage of this TV screen in the show of the game has better draw distance than this Wii U footage that's captured natively did. Which I don't know how entirely accurate that is, because I didn't play the Wii U version, but I remember that was the the retort going around, and a lot of people were like, "The Switch is crazy powerful. Look at this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Look at Jimmy Fallon." Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, those were the days, guys.
Yeah.
Those
But
were the days.
basically, to sum it all up really quickly, they've had 5 more years of experience with the engine that they're working on, and they're only using the engine on 1 console instead of 2, and they already know how that engine and the console they're developing for work, so they're able to get it to run better and faster. Like there was an example with Doom 1 and then Doom Eternal on Switch, where like Doom Eternal, like the textures and polygons and everything is higher, which you would think would make the game run slower, but it actually has a higher frame rate than the first one, despite looking better. So it's the same situation, just more experience knowing how the consoles work and everything. And they could also be not really cheating, but sort of cheating if they're using the artificial upscaler thing.
So they could be spending this extra time delaying it to optimize the heck out of it, is what you're saying?
No. They're delaying it because you
But they
made
could be.
Miyamoto mad
Oh, right.
That
was
dinner
my
party.
fault. That was my fault.
2 months ago.
100%.
Yeah.
My
what
bad, yeah,
Well,
sorry.
you, Choobs, do you have any thoughts on any of this? I know you're not like all that techie stuff with the specs
No.
and yeah, but no,
I pressed the on button and the machine goes brr.
nice. Oh, actually, I just seen here the Digital Foundry did have an update a week later that says, led by the redoubtable Richard Ledbetter, reiterated that no, Breath of the Wild 2 isn't too big, in quotes, for Switch. John Lineman added that the group was basically discussing how the trailer appeared to be rendering at a high resolution, and that's it. So,
Right. Probably because it wasn't rendered on the Switch.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Geek, hi.
Hi.
Your thoughts on this?
Agreed.
Nice.
It's footage. It's, yeah. Because, wow, words are gone. That's what happens when you work with 3-year-olds most of the day. No, the end of the day was teenagers. That might be worse. I'm not sure. No shame. I love them. But, yeah, I agree. And yes, for anyone wondering, I did play the Wii U version first. I didn't realize how much of a difference there was on the Switch. But there was definitely enough of a difference that I was like, wow, it's so crystal clear compared. But it didn't look bad on the Wii U. But I also had like 0 expectations. I wasn't even sure I was going to like the game because I was like, it's not linear Zelda. And then I was like, oh, but that's okay. I love this game. I died 20 times in the first 20 minutes, but that's okay. So yeah, I don't have any extra thoughts. I'm also not tech savvy. And I'm
Cool.
considered the tech savvy one in my family, so that's really sad.
I feel like...
I
Oh, sorry, Choobs.
was just gonna say I also played Breath of the Wild for the first time on my Wii U. There's a definite difference.
It's not as fuzzy on the Switch.
Yeah.
And the colors are very, very beautiful on the Switch. It was great on the Wii U too, because that was all I had, but...
Yeah, right. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Jesse?
I was just going to say that I hope... Like, it would be nice if they did do another dual release thing or whatever, but at the same time, I'm already broke, so... Like, that gives me
Yeah.
like a year to save up, but still,
Yeah.
yeah. Daniel, I guess it's time for you to take over for your dungeon thing.
What?
Thing. I didn't know
Oh,
that
no.
Daniel was the dungeon master.
Yeah,
I am the dungeon master,
it was his
apparently.
idea because we had no news the one time, and he was like, let's do this fun thing.
It
And
was
we're like,
a fun
It
thing
was
to do.
fun. And that's why we
Do
did
you-
it 2 times.
Do you have the on-screen things for it, though, Jefferson?
No, I don't.
Or should I attempt to share my screen on Discord?
Ooh.
I can do that.
Yeah,
do that.
you can do that.
Okay. I'm
scared.
What is it? Just like screenshots for the?
everything I would. I had just pulled a bunch of I didn't prepare for this, apparently, because I wasn't expecting to have to. I just pulled a bunch of screenshots from the dungeons of the games. Slapped them in a tier list. Here, give me you talk about something, and I will just get this together in a moment.
Piece of
Tell
news.
us a story, Jesse.
Yeah. So piece of news that was shut down for today was it was a 2-piece story now. It was a 1-piece last week, but Daniel shot it down then, which is Minish Cap. A trademark was filed for Minish Cap and some other Game Boy Advance games. And then a couple of days later, or maybe it was a couple of days before, the Switch Game Boy Advance emulator leaked. So those two things happening around the same time could somewhat be connected, or it could be like how a couple of years ago, for some weird reason, Nintendo trademarked a handheld or on-the-go version of Twilight Princess, which obviously never ended up being anything. But it was a trademark specifically for a mobile weird version of Twilight Princess. And it wasn't Switch, it was like specifically like a handheld or 3DS type device, not the hybrid thing. You tell us a story, geek.
About what?
How's your adventures through Skyward Sword?
I finished a while back. That's why I asked if we could do it instead of Twilight Princess. Because I was like, I am one dungeon in. I mean, I played a few dungeons of the game years and years and years ago. Don't really remember it that well. And I was like, I don't think I would be justified. Like, if I've never played the dungeon at all, I'm like, I don't want to... My opinion wouldn't be as valid. It'd be based on the music and nothing else, which, let's be honest, my opinion of dungeons is almost always based on the music. And little else. Music, I care. I care about music. I'm a dancer, for crying out loud. But yeah, I liked Skyward Sword. You would never know that I like games, though. If you watch me stream, you would think that I absolutely hate it and that someone is forcing me to play games.
I thought that's
because
what
I get
you were
so
here. I thought Daniel was
mad.
Holding you hostage for the podcast.
No, I am here of my own volition.
Okay, he's holding me hostage. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm in the basement too.
So I've heard.
Is that
That's
why
why
you
it's
don't have
dark.
any lights on?
Yeah.
That's why your Wi-Fi isn't working. He won't let
That
it work.
as well.
He wanted to take control of the podcast.
And it worked. He successfully did it for like 3 weeks.
But no, I feel bad when I stream. I'm always like, I feels like every few streams I have like this big rant about how I hate doing bosses and I hate them with a passion because I don't like the feeling of dying in a game and I'm like, I don't want to do this. That's why I'm an Animal Crossing person.
Oh, geek, you have no idea. I've been streaming a game called Tunic. It's like
How is it?
It's like Legend of Zelda, kind of, but you're a fox, and the game is also really hard. Today I spent 2.5 hours on a boss, dying repeatedly. And then I got to the next boss that took about another 1.5 hours, and when I thought that I had beaten it, it had a second phase, so I actually had not beat it.
Yeah, I had those second phases.
Can confirm it was really entertaining.
I usually sat there and punished myself for 5 hours today.
It was very entertaining.
I saw this meme and it was so accurate. It was sent to me and it was like a picture of someone like on the internet. It was like me looking up exactly when and how to defeat a boss so that when I die with knowledge. I was like, if that ain't me. Very rarely do I go through a dungeon or go to a boss without looking up how to defeat them prior. Like, I always look it up, and I'm like, okay, so, and, like, I will pause the game and be like, all right, we're on the next phase. What do I do? Like, I am such a terrible gamer in that respect, because I don't know what it is. I don't like dying in games. I did eventually defeat Demise, and I thought I was going to lose my gosh darn mind. And I only lost, like, 5 times? I don't remember. But I did eventually get it. And I got the hang of it, and I didn't want to admit. I was like, okay, I can see the enjoyment of trying this over and over again, because it wasn't impossible. I'm just bad at games.
I remember that
obviously.
stream. It was It was
Such a good game. I love this game. And they're like, you literally said, I'm never going to play this again multiple times. I'm like, yes, fine. Then I defeated Wind Waker HD. And that felt good. Ganondorf was not too hard in that. Like, looking back, I was like, though, that wasn't hard. It was fun, but it wasn't hard. And then I claim I finished Banjo-Kazooie. I just didn't want to defeat Gruntilda. I just ignored the part where Tootie was like, oh, you haven't. I was like, no. Grunty's finally finished this game. And they're like,
Game's over.
I finished.
That's it.
So good. It's all good. All good. And then I finished Skyward Sword HD. And now I'm like toggling back and forth between Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Twilight Princess. Because everyone wanted me to do Twilight Princess. And I low-key didn't want to do Twilight Princess. And I don't know why. I like the music. But as I'm playing through it, I'm like, I hope my mind changes later. But I'm not overly enjoying it thus far. Like not
I feel like the game picks up in like the second act of the game.
That's what I'm thinking too.
First act is quite slow. Yeah.
That's the one I have like. Well, at first, some people theorize they're like, well, maybe it's because it's one that you don't have a ton of exposure to, and I'm like, I had less exposure to Skyward Sword, and I love that. Again, at times you didn't think I did like Skyward Sword. You wouldn't believe I did, but I actually did. I promise I did.
Yeah. Well, I finished setting this up here. I'm going to attempt to screen share so that Jessie can have the actual tier list on screen instead of my face.
The magic.
Let's see. Okay. I have to open settings apparently. And
I went to type Skyward Sword in my YouTube so I could look up the music, and I typed in Slylard Sword.
Lylard Sword?
What a beautiful new game.
All right.
Choobs, you weren't here while Daniel does this. I don't think you've been on the podcast since the delay happened and we've seen the weird sword thing. Ooh. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh.
The new clip thing where Link had the wonky sword.
I haven't been on a podcast since... Oh, but then I watched Geek's video. Okay.
I forgot I had a video.
I don't even know what thoughts that I have of that. That was so bizarre. It was just such a short clip, but there was so much to pull from it. Why does Nintendo do that?
How do they do that?
It's how they do. Is this actually working?
What? It says watch stream on.
Is it showing?
If I click watch stream.
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, but on the podcast, it looks like a disaster.
Oh. Let's see.
A little bit.
Does it actually show the window? The GIMP window?
It's like not for me.
Still loading.
Yeah,
it's not loading.
Still loading.
Yeah, it must have to be.
How do I exit this extra stream?
Okay, here I'll kill it here and
I put stop watching.
try it again.
Was it viewable?
I'll just say
on
entire
your guys's?
screen and I'll just. I don't know. I'll just full screen it. I'll just. Whoop! That was weird. I don't think that worked.
Close stream. How'd the stream go? Don't show me this again.
Sometimes it happens and then it disappears immediately.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like my own computer is kicking me out. It's like, no, you can't do that.
You're not allowed.
It's like Hulk in Infinity War. He won't show himself.
I still have to get Morph to watch Infinity War. No, Endgame? No, Infinity War? Yeah, Infinity War. Sorry, I always forget which one comes first.
Okay, I think I know how to fix this. I'm just gonna BRB. Carry on. Don't leave me. Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on. So, Jessie, are you happy to be back in front of a pooter?
I am. I worked on the video that went up yesterday. Daniel's back. Hi. And then
What did I do yesterday?
No, I worked on the. She asked me if I was happy
I
with
was
the
so happy to see
computer.
that you uploaded a video and it was like your voice, like something you had made. Like the stream, I was like, oh, it's a video.
I also did a weird thing.
Okay, it worked.
Yay!
Oh
I'm
yeah,
so
it's
glad it
working.
worked. Wait, maybe I can make this bigger. Let me see.
It's loading for me.
Oh, that's smaller. Okay. Well, actually, that I think made it worse. I'll just put it back to that. That's good enough. That's good. Everyone can see that, right?
Might have
Okay.
to change layout in stream, but yes.
Yeah, I think Jesse's got it.
Oh, I see what he did. Smart.
Beauty.
Smart.
Beauty. Now we can all see it instead of just me secretly moving things around while you guys talk and like how we were doing it the last 2 weeks.
Secret.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the dungeon tier list discussion part of the video. 𝗙ście, did you watch any of that, by the way? Or
Does
do
it
you
make
just
me a
post on...
bad friend if I didn't watch
Yes.
it? It was
You-
it was posted on Twitter too.
It was. I have been posting them on Twitter as well, but just because it's fun to keep track of our results. But there's been some pretty good discussion around some of these. I think the funniest or most unexpected part of doing these is that we all simultaneously agreed on some unexpected things, like Ocarina of Time's Water Temple being A tier.
Yeah.
Whereas we had a lot of a harder time finding common ground on the Shadow Temple, which there was a lot of debate about where that one should slot. So it was interesting. It was a good time. So today
Our friendship
we're like
was
at Skyward
almost
Sword
ruined.
Dungeons apparently. Your what, Jesse?
Our friendship was almost ruined over that.
It was almost ruined because Jesse can't admit that he's wrong sometimes. Oh, also we got a super chat from Envy.
Ooh.
I'll just read that first. Envy, thanks for the $5 Envy. I appreciate that, Envy. Thank you. What's y'all's ultimate fave Zelda song? Mine has to be Dancing Theme, Majora's Mask, Not Opening Theme, and Faron Woods from Twilight Princess, and Horse Riding Day Song. You know what mine is? Dragon Roost Island.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
You can't
So
make
good.
me
You must choose, geek. You must choose. Actually,
there's
Gerudo Valley is really good too.
I feel like we had this conversation recently.
Come on, Envy gave $5 for us to know, geek. We have to. You have to pick. The ultimate fave Zelda song. Just like first thing that comes to your
but
head.
in what context? Like, it's the best sounding, it's the most thematic, I just enjoy listening to it.
Your
Enjoy
favorite.
listening to something that
Yeah, it's
makes
your
you-
favorite.
something that you would put on
Narrow it
repeat.
down much.
I get Dragon Roost Island stuck in my head all the time.
Because it's so good. No,
Must look.
Shubes, your favorite is the verse of Dark Beast Ganon theme from Twilight Princess.
Absolutely! Oh my gosh, I love that song. That song is so good. I
That's
can't.
quite the reaction.
No, because it's actually a terrible song. It's not a good song. I don't know if there's really any good parts of the song.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
I love this rendition of it. It's so good.
That's how it sounds.
Oh my gosh. You know what? That one's up there. That's one of those songs that I listen to in the shower because it just makes me feel happy.
And also, are
oh
we
no.
specific to, like, how it sounds in the game? Because I get confused. I mean, I'm assuming how it sounds in the game. Because sometimes I mix up, I'm like, oh, I actually like this cover version of it really a lot.
Okay.
And then I don't like the original as
We'll
much.
say
like,
no covers, no
Okay.
reorchestrations, just like the song in the game as it is. Just if that helps you narrow it down.
no.
Mine's actually Midna's Lament.
Yeah.
Minda's a limp.
Lament.
Well, she
Like
is
she's
pretty-
lamenting.
She was kind of limp during the whole thing.
She is. She's a bit limp, isn't she? Oh no.
Gosh.
I can't with you guys
Oh.
right now.
Can I do one for each 3D game?
Oh
That's
no, we're gonna
six.
be. or should we just say that's Geek's next upcoming video?
Oh
Gosh.
no! No! Gosh! No! I couldn't even pick my favorite 3D Zelda game. It's Ocarina of Time. But in a video context, I couldn't.
There you go. You just did it though. You just did like it's like put all objectivity, throw it all out the window. We're in subjective territory.
I like throwing objects out the
You
window.
know? I know you do. That's how our friendship started. Jessie threw me out a window.
Candy super chats $2 and says, "True or false? New console release with Breath of the Wild 2." And I say
We
false.
just talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
gonna say false.
I was today years old when I realized that my Ewan racing chair can go back.
Oh
I've
yeah,
had-
it goes. It goes
I've had it-
back.
I've had it like all the way like forward, like almost like bending over forward. That's why it's been so uncomfortable for me.
Oh, it's pretty comfy like this.
Sorry, are we
Let's
ready to
do the
do this?
podcast from down here.
No, I still haven't answered Envy's question.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
there's
Oh yeah,
Jessie.
yeah, Stone
There's
Tower Temple.
Jessie.
Even though it'll make
Ooh,
troops
that's
mad
a
at me
good
forever.
pick. Stone Tower
I hate
Pimple.
Stone Tower Temple.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
That's
I
a
like
good
the
pick.
music.
Also, I made, while you were adjusting your screen, I adjusted it so our cameras would still be bigger, and then it would be full screen for the thing. So, teamwork.
Bonnie says
You know what's great
it's
about
on
the Stone
D.
Tower?
You
know what's great about the Stone Tower music?
It's far
is it
away from
incorporates all the
civilization and people
instruments
leave you alone.
of Link's different forms.
Oh.
Like all those instruments from Link's different forms are included in the Stone Tower theme. And
Didn't know that. Cool.
I did not
It's
know that
brilliant
either.
because it's the only dungeon in which you need to use all of Link's forms. Brilliant.
I know the dungeon guy.
I am the dungeon
Ah.
man.
Natsu's right. Says, Jesse,
Not-
you live in a basement. What are you throwing out the window? And what window? Does Daniel's basement have windows?
That happened before the basement situation. He threw me out a window, so I threw him into a basement. That's the order of events.
A padded
Not
basement.
gonna be from Majora's Mask.
Okay.
Alright, she's ruled one out. Man, she's having a big think over there.
You can see the steam like coming out the top of her head.
Envy, you asked the one question that breaks me.
We have broken key. Forget this dungeon tier list. We have to do the Zelda music tier list at some point.
I almost said Forest Temple, but that's not for listening. When I listen to it, it gives me actual anxiety. But that's like good because like it's supposed to do that. So probably not something from Ocarina of Time, if you can believe that. As far as listening to it, it's probably going to be either from Wind Waker or Breath of the Wild.
Daniel, I think you messed up. There's no F tier.
What do you mean?
There's no
There is
F tier.
There's
No
no
F
F
tier for
tier?
sure.
I wouldn't put any of these in F tier, so that's fine.
Yeah, you're right. We should save that
I need
for
to
like.
listen to a couple
Majora's
real
Mask.
quick.
Bonnie was saying that you should put us in the D tier, but you could create an F tier and put us there too.
Us in the in the D tier?
That's what Bonnie said because Jesse was like moving us around for
Yeah,
the,
there we go.
Oh,
looks on
all
the
in D tier.
stream.
the D tier.
Not that
The
one.
D.
Our new home.
I love that one, but not that one. Not that
Anyone that joins my streams understands.
Yes. Understands why Kayla hates water.
Oh my gosh, I hate water.
Kayla hates water. See, now she's doing research. She's listening to the music. She's got to figure it out.
The longer this goes on, the longer the chat has to suffer watching us do this.
And not place any of these dungeons in a tier list.
You guys forget that Daniel and I know each other in person. We could go back and forth like this for hours.
We have. Honestly, when we hang out, it's a wonder anyone could be around us.
I know. No wonder why it's always just like a couple of us. And your wife is like taken off. She's off doing her thing.
She's like gone to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wind Waker title screen.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good choice.
It's
That is
I
a
love
good
it.
choice.
It makes me want to cry out of pure joy.
That's a superb choice. Superb choice.
That hurt.
Okay, so we got that. That was a process for you. I can tell.
So difficult. And I'm probably gonna
I
go
love
listen to a bunch of things later tonight.
Oh yeah.
/ Wind Waker
Oh,
morning
no.
because we usually finish by like midnight. He like, wait, no.
Wow. Now we can place these dungeons in a dungeon tier list.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the name of the first dungeon so I can go listen to it?
Skyview Temple.
That's
It's the music that goes.
Well,
I remembered that. I just
Yeah.
Oh, I hate.
So deep in the Faron Woods, you have to fight 𝗬𝗄𝗃 at the end. You get the beetle item. It's Stalfo's mid-boss fight. You have to go back through there again later. So I want to give this one, just to kick things off, a solid B. That's what I say.
Scared you're gonna put an S. I think that B probably suits it. B feels like it's setting the tone for the game, right? Somewhere in the middle. It's not like, you know, crazy good yet, but it's also not the worst thing we've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's true. The thing that lowers it down for me, like almost puts it in C, is the fact that you have to go through there a second time later in the game to get a bottle of water for a dragon who's sitting in a giant bucket. And I hate that. And it's not even just like all the doors are unlocked from last time you went in there. Like they relock the doors, you have to go through the keys, and Mogmas are interrupting you. Like that makes me almost want to put it in C.
Yeah.
But there's still enough good stuff.
Me
that
too.
And it's like, aren't you supposed to be like a god or a deity of the water? Can't you just summon it?
Right?
Then they do that later. they do summon one. They flood the whole forest.
I hate this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Oof.
it's kind of a toss up between B and C for me there, actually, just because of that second trip. Like I'd say B if we're looking at just the first trip, but the second trip makes me question it.
Yeah, so
If
B,
it's-
but it's on thin ice.
I would agree with that because even though they have 2 or 3 variations of the music is good for theming, but I don't like listening.
Those are good words to live by. It's back. It's back. We're back. Oh, hold on. Hold up. There's no sound there. Okay, hold on. My mic works. Hold on one sec. Just gonna tinker with the sound. Okay, want someone say something. See if we have sound. That was good. Hmm.
You knitted your shirt out of bananas.
Yes. I do. That's why it's yellow.
Okay.
It's the only logical
Hold on,
explanation.
everyone. We have sound, but everyone sounds like a robot. So I'm gonna leave the call and come back and see if that fixes it.
Almost every single day now.
I did that. Hello, robot friends.
Uh-oh.
Nope, you still sound like robots.
I was just excited about having that.
Okay, hold on. I tell you what, I'm just gonna quit Discord entirely and see if that fixes it. Okay, sorry about this, everybody. Also, oh my gosh, looks like the sounds are too loud as well. Let's see. Sorry, everybody. We're trying to fix this in a timely,
Call my mom,
quickly and
and
timely
her
manner.
phone sounds like a robot, and it's really
gosh.
creepy
Is
because there's
creepy.
0 inflection or anything, and it sounds so messed up. I'm like, Mom, call me back. You sound like possessed, and she's like, okay. And I'm like,
Okay.
ah.
Okay. I think
We
we're
got
good.
We here?
I think we're
Yeah.
good. Let us know, people in the chat, if everything sounds good enough. I think it's good. I think it's good.
Yes, it looks good.
But does
I'm
it
just
s-
looking at the stream, waiting to see because there's like a black bar underneath me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
And that's the only thing. But other than that, yeah, it's good.
I didn't tool this layout properly. That's why the black bar is there. That's my bad.
Okay.
We're gonna roll with it.
All right. Shall we continue?
We shall. But everybody just, throw in the chat.
Woo.
Just tell us how the audio sounds there. I apologize for the little hiccup, the technical hiccup there. But we should be all good. So, I've got here, this is the dungeon tier list. We were talking about this just a moment ago. I think we covered everything with the, what's it called? Skyview Temple. I think we've talked that enough. So, Earth Temple is next. I actually quite like the Earth Temple. It's the first fire dungeon of 2. I think it's also probably just a solid B in my opinion. What do you guys think about the Earth Temple? It's got a bop of a song. I really like the song, the music.
It's the one where you roll the rock around everywhere.
Yeah, you roll the rock around. You get bombs in it. You it could be better.
Magpies? Magma.
The what? The Magmas?
The magma, yeah.
Right.
And the mitts? Or is that before?
No, that's slightly before the dungeon. But you get the bombs in the dungeon. One thing that I think is kind of a downside though is a Skyward, the boss, is really not a great boss fight in my opinion.
No,
That's what I was
really
gonna
not
say.
a
That's
good
the
boss.
downside. It could have
It's
been
like a-
close to A tier if not for the boss for me, just because it's decent. Maybe not A tier. It's a good B tier, but it's like low B tier because of the boss.
It's like someone watered down King Tatango.
And
But
put him
instead
on a
of
hill.
rolling in circles, he just rolls down.
Yeah,
Oh.
that
And
is
then
accurate.
sprouts some little legs and then goes back up.
He's just got little legs. Little.
Yeah, the boss really doesn't do it for me. It's
Right.
I don't know. I do really like those 2 mole guys though.
The mole guys?
Are they moles? What are they?
The Magmas? I do not like them.
Yeah, sorry, the magmas.
I do not like them.
I mean, they're essentially moles.
I cannot stand them.
Just-
They talk
Maybe they're
too
not
much.
too fond of you
Too
either.
dumb.
It's
I'm indifferent,
indifferent about
except for the
Magmas.
old one.
I
Or the
think the
one
old one's
chubby
in a
one.
different dungeon. I think he's in Fire Sanctuary.
Right. I think so too, but I'm kind of indifferent to them. I don't like them, but I also don't hate them. I'm like, they exist.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that B tier is okay for this dungeon.
B is good. Is it just going to be a long list of B tier? No, it's not. Because next is the Linear Mining Facility, which I would throw into A tier, actually. I think it's a good dungeon. The only thing I don't like about it is I actually don't like the music. I find it gets really grating really fast. But
That's like the kind of like mechanic-y sounding one, right?
yeah, and it's got that like high,
There's
like
fast
almost
and
xylophone. Yeah. But the time shift stone mechanics are really good. Gust Bellows is at least a pretty unique item. I think it's pretty fun. Moldarak's a serviceable boss fight, I would say, but the rest of the dungeon's design and everything I find is really great. I love the aesthetic of the factory. It's not like they could have gone really like bland with the factory and made it like all silver and gray or whatever, but it's a factory, but it's also really colorful and vibrant as well, and I love that. I love that.
It has a lot of cool lighting effects.
That's true too.
It's also
That's-
these dungeons also feel kind of lengthy too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're all lengthy. Except for Skyview Temple, but then they make you do it twice, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I definitely like the present theme more than the past theme. There's just more depth to it, but it just the da 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 over and over. I was like, okay, yeah, no thanks. I'm glad you reminded me of the time shift stones, even though I played this like decently recently, because originally I was gonna say C tier.
Oh really?
Yeah, but I was like, oh wait, no, I really did, because I remember in chat someone being like, man, I hate these time shift stones, and I was like, actually, I like these. I like the puzzle aspect of these. It's something that I can handle. I can
and
handle that.
It's really different.
And there's something satisfying about running away from an enemy and then they just crumble into dust.
Right. Because they cannot
Oh.
escape the radius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I misspoke about something. I like the past theme more than the present.
Okay.
Whichever, I don't know.
Oh, I
I
think
get
it's
confused. There's
yeah,
one I like
think it's
more
the
than the
past
other.
theme is like when it's in its heyday, like it's got a lot more like bass.
That's
and
what I
depth.
meant.
Whereas the present
Yeah.
theme, and I get what they're going for because the present theme's supposed to be like more hollow, sort of decayed sounding, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But still not pleasant. Like
But,
not like Forest Temple and Shadow Temple do the whole creepy or disturbing or hollow vibe better.
for sure.
But yeah, I'm willing to go up to high B, maybe low A. I just really don't like the music. I'd say A or B, but like if it's A, it's low A.
Right.
Oh, A.
I give it an A as well, and I really like the cutscene that happens after, where 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗏 and
Oh, at the gate of time.
𝗬𝗏𝗏 and what's her name?
And
𝗵𝗃. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great
I'm
like, way
going
to
to you
cap it
guys.
off. Totally. Yeah.
I hate the BMOs though. They're so much easier than past games, but I feel so stupid for how long it took me to get them.
Oh.
I kept throwing all these bombs. I was like, why is nothing working? And everyone's like, just slice your sword. I was like, oh. Because in past games, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
In
You
fairness,
had
though,
bombs,
you
just like the whole eyeball thing.
right. It with
Talk about
the
subversion
original
of expectation.
I feel like 𝗏 does give you a good hint if you actually ask her, but I feel like
Oh, I
most
don't.
of us don't ask 𝗏 for anything because we don't want to have her talk more than she has to. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so...
I try not to talk to any of the people that follow me. Any of my helpers. I don't talk to them, not even Midna.
Well, not even Midna. Oh no. You don't even talk to your own cat. All right, so
I know.
next is the Ancient Cistern, which I am going to firmly plant in the S tier because it is
Yeah, S tier.
an S tier
agree.
dungeon
Yep.
through and through.
Everyone loves
It's like
it.
the mix between a shadow and a water temple.
But also like a light temple, you know? There's a lot of theming going on with it. I think is really interesting, and I think that a lot of like a lesser developer would have made it feel conflated and confusing and kind of like a weird, messy hodgepodge Franken dungeon. But they managed to incorporate all these elements and not make it feel weird and out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
sectioned off like Hyrule Castle and Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
It actually flowed together.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I actually didn't find it that difficult of a dungeon. Like, I didn't need too much help with it.
Right.
And yet, then you get to the boss, which, like, in the moment, I didn't care for fighting him because it creeped me out. But, I mean, that was part of the point. But then you look back on it and you think about all the theories behind it. And I'm like, no, it really was a good boss. Like, because I think part of it was the whole, well, everyone says it's a good boss, but I don't like bosses, so it doesn't make a difference. But then looking back, I'm like, no, it is a boss. Like, I can't deny that.
It's my favorite
And there's so
boss.
many good theories about the cistern.
It's 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is probably my favorite Zelda boss, like ever. I always look forward to fighting him. He's like so much fun. There's something weirdly satisfying about ripping him apart limb from limb and then hacking him to pieces with his own sword, which sounds sadistic of me to say out loud.
But he's a robot, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but no, it's just like it's really good. The whip is pretty cool. Not the greatest item, but it's pretty cool. And yeah, I just think it's through and through just a superb dungeon. Like 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 dungeon. S tier. Total S tier.
S tier.
All right. It seems we are aligned. There's not as much disagreement this time around with our dungeons. All right. So the sand ship.
This is just...
The sand ship, I am actually
S tier.
tossed. I could go S or A for it. It'd be like a high A or S. For
one
me.
of those I'd want to do it in A tier because of the boss.
Oh yeah, the boss is definitely the boss drags it down for sure. Also the bow,
Many
as a dungeon item,
but
the time shift stone mechanics are really good. I think the setting is all really great. I love Skipper.
I love the setting.
The
of
mid
it,
boss is super fun as well. Yeah, just the boss fight is really my only complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah, everyone hates Tantalus.
Yeah. Are we gonna say A because the boss is the only thing that prevents it like from being S tier?
Yeah, and I didn't like it as much when I was playing it, but it's one of those ones I look back and I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good. But yeah, it's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know if I would hate the boss as much as I do if they had, like, not made it this humanoid-looking octopus thing. I think if it were, like, some sort of, like, outer-worldly creature, I may have loved it a little bit more.
Right?
Or if it looked intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, it seems intimidating. Like, the only thing that gives you a hint that it might be kind of weird is the coloring of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is it this weird pinky color? I've said it before. It looks like the love child of Mike Wazowski and Celia from Monsters, Inc.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But big.
They could have accomplished the same type of boss fight with like the tentacles crashing through the ship and being a big part of the actual boss fight if they would have done another version of 𝗵𝗲 or 𝗵𝗲.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like the amoeba as the eyeball that you had to shoot, and then it used like hard, solid water, whatever, to crash through the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It could have been literally the exact same boss fight, but it would have also connected to other Zelda bosses and not been a
Everyone
weird
would have loved it.
Monsters, Inc. ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so weird, because, like, the dungeon itself is so good, so it sucks that it's, like, that one, like, huge factor that it's kind of, like...
Mm-hmm. That tells you how bad it is. And I feel like the lead up to it is really good. Like, you have that whole escape sequence, and it's, like, tearing the ship apart. And I remember the first time playing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fight the Kraken or something, like, insane like that.
Right.
Like, it's gonna be so cool. And it just, like, it builds it up so well. And then it's just like, wow, this is the boss? Really? Okay. And of course...
it comes up and you're like, oh, hi, Tubby.
Oh, hi. You look... Yeah. And I've made more than clear my stance on, like, the giant eyeball trope. The giant eyeball weak spot trope. I'm so tired of it. And, like, this was, like, the boiling point of that for me, I think. Like... Yeah, like, it's the most unimaginative way to fight him is shoot him in the eye with a bow and then hack at him when he's down. It's just, I don't know.
That's why it could have been cool as the, like, amoeba thing from 𝗵𝗲, because then, like, it's still round like an eyeball, but it's not an eyeball.
I would have even been fine if they had made the mid-boss, 𝗟𝗏, if they had made him the final, the dungeon boss. Like, that could have even been cool. Because he's like a pirate robot man. It's the perfect fit for this, right?
Yeah, if you had made him more difficult, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, give him a four-arm version, like the Skull Warrior thing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a great mid-boss. Great mid-boss. One of the best mid-bosses, but the worst bosses.
First four figures, and Nintendo made a huge statue collection with like Link and him on a plank, and it was like a collection where you could get them all together. But it's like the only mini boss that's ever had his own first four figures statue. So
that's pretty cool. That is. So high A, I guess, is what we're landing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fire Sanctuary. I actually have no idea where to place this one.
B.
It does feel like a B dungeon. Like, it's not bad.
Feel like a B.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It just doesn't...
It's just hear him again.
Yep. When I did my video on this one, like, I titled it Forgettably Great, and I think that's the thing about this dungeon is it's not bad. It's just a great dungeon. But it feels so redundant in every way. Reused boss, reused setting, a lot of the just like the architecture, like the vibe of it just feels all recycled, even though it's not. And it feels really forgettable to me. Like, I have a good time playing through it. But yeah, just like, and also the Magmas, I hate them. They're so annoying and they talk so much throughout the whole dungeon. Yeah.
Daddy.
So
What's the item for this one? Is it the upgraded mitts, right? The upgraded digging mitts?
Yeah.
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 I
Yikes.
don't.
the mini boss is like the flame hand thing from lava.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right.
Bro, I don't even remember.
That actually, in one of the first trailers they released for Skyward Sword,
Right.
I remember I had my hopes up because you can kind of see something come up out of the lava and then go back underneath. And in my mind, I was like, oh, this is supposed to be like a prequel to all the games. He's basically in the fire temple or whatever. And we know 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 was defeated a long, long, long time ago. Could this be that time? And I thought it would have been like the perfect way to tie Skyward Sword into Ocarina of Time. Because then you would get to see how, you would get to see how the Goron, or you helped the Goron, whatever, to kill the thing. And then it just turns out to be 𝗏𝗏 again.
Mm.
Deceptive trailers.
You were deceived. You were misled.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So B, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, I don't have pretty strong opinions on this. It's just the dungeon.
You missed the Ocarina of Time dungeon where we were dungeon tier list where
Get
we were
cool earrings.
getting heated about the Shadow Temple.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and rewatch
You
it.
missed the heat. All right, so B is good. I feel like it's
Cool earrings.
it's B. It's not bad. It's just like Skykeep. I kind of want to throw into A tier. The last dungeon.
Me too.
I love the puzzle box nature of it, where it's not just like a puzzle box dungeon in the figurative sense. It's like literally, like the puzzle is the dungeon, and you have to rearrange the rooms. I love that concept. And the final boss is like super climactic. You get to kill Girahim. It's very personal, and then Demise is really climactic, really epic. But yeah, like there's no dungeon item or anything, and it does kind of reuse elements from all the other dungeons, but I feel like it does it in a great sort of recapping way, and it's just like it actually uses all of your inventory really well, which I like, and it just has this very creative just concept that's executed pretty well. The only thing that I would say holds it back from S tier for me is that the rooms are very clearly reused from all those previous dungeons, and I'd rather they reuse all those concepts and mechanics but keep it in one cohesive look, because I think the like Skykeep rooms that are just unique to that dungeon have this really incredible architecture with that heavenly music that's super cool. And then it's like, oh, now you're back into the forest section, now you're in the fire section, and it's if they had kind of kept that cohesive. It's actually what Jesse was saying or was it last week, where it's like the segmented way of it, rather than where Stone Tower he said was good because it reuses all those elements and ties them in, but it's still its own dungeon with its own identity, not just recycling stuff from other dungeons. I would have rather Skykeep did that as well, but it's still really great. But that's my spiel.
That I think it's the first dungeon that you find the full Triforce in.
Yep. Other than
from any Zelda
the
game.
end of A Link to the Past, maybe.
You found the full Triforce in a single dungeon?
Well, it's like literally the end of A Link to the Past. Like you kill Ganon and you get the full Triforce. So I wouldn't even say it's in a dungeon. And then
the fact that it's like hidden in Skyloft, like right underneath you the whole time, and you didn't know it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Shock factor.
Yup. Music alone makes me want to put it in A tier. I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That track is like it's heavenly. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. It's like it's super it's just got that like vibrant, very full sounding. Like it's got those like I'm not doing a good job describing this.
But at the same time, I know exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like I imagine that music being used for like some otherworldly cathedral or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that very high atmosphere.
Kind of.
Not just literally high atmosphere, but, you know.
I see what you mean.
I have to go back and like listen to the songs because I don't remember a lot. And like, it's kind of creepy.
Little bit.
It's kind of uneasy.
A little bit.
Yeah,
That's
it's like it teeters between like ethereal and uneasy.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But it makes sense. Like it's ethereal. It's like the Sky Keep. It's the place where the Triforce is kept. It's this very holy, sacred place. But it's also the last dungeon, and it's also like got tons of baddies and this really tricky puzzle to do. So I feel like that tone is perfect. It's like that ethereal, but like also
true.
uneasiness. Yeah, like that's totally perfect for that dungeon. I just wish it was in more rooms than just like a couple.
Just the main one,
Yeah, because when you go into those other rooms, it just goes back to like, oh well, now here's the Skyview Temple music, and that you've heard before.
Some themes that I wasn't a huge fan of, and I already spent an hour in.
Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, I think there are some things that hold it back from S tier, but it's really still a fantastic finale for Skyward Sword, I think. So.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that we were only gonna have one S tier.
I think if it were just one,
Bones.
Ancient Cistern is the one.
Yeah, the one with the giant foot, right? Love that.
Okay, listen, a giant foot S tier.
Yep.
Oh no! I will say this definitely speaks to Skyward Sword's benefit of, or like it speaks to how I would say like overall how good Skyward Sword's dungeons are. That nothing even made it to C or let alone D tier. Like everything's B or higher. That's I don't remember. I have to check. I'm gonna check real quick. The last two we did, I think we had at least one or two. Oh yeah, Wind Waker, we had 3 C tier dungeons, and one for Ocarina, which was 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗆's belly.
I forgot. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗄 was D tier for a second. I was like, I don't think have we had a D tier yet?
We have not. No, we haven't put anything in D tier yet. So I mean that's good.
We're coming for you, D tier.
I'll pull them up real quick if I can find them in my files. Apparently, oh, I see it. They organized it alphabetically instead of in like most recent order. Okay, here's on the stream. You'll see the Wind Waker ones. We had Tower of the Gods and Earth Temple in A tier. Forbidden Woods and Ganon's Tower in B, and then Forsaken Fortress, Dragon Roost Cavern, and Wind Temple were all in C, which is pretty rough. And where did I put that Ocarina of Time ones? It's in here somewhere. Don't mind me. Here it is. There we go. So Ocarina of Time, we had 2 S tiers, which was Forest and Spirit Temple. And then Deku Tree, Water Temple, Ganon's Castle were all A tier. Dodongo's Cavern, Fire Temple, Shadow Temple were B tier, much to Jesse's chagrin there. And then C tier was 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗆's belly. So I'd say Skyward Sword fares pretty well, all things considered. Less stuff in the S tier, but nothing down in C. Although Wind Waker didn't even get any S tier dungeons, so
yeah.
Poor Wind Waker.
It's also interesting how
I feel like there was one that you really wanted S tier, and Jesse and I were like,
Earth Temple. That's what it was. I thought Earth Temple was super good. It was. Super good.
I feel like Twilight Princess had so many dungeons that they purposefully made Skyward Sword's dungeons smaller. But each of the rooms have like more stuff to do in them.
Maybe.
Usually.
I would say, well, yeah. I mean, Twilight Princess has like a lot of dungeons. Just they're all lengthy. Like they're all long dungeons. But I like that actually. I kind of think like that's the selling point of Twilight Princess. But Skyward Sword gives you more to do outside of the dungeons for sure. So
Yes.
there's less, but there's like you got to do a lot of legwork to get to each of them. A lot of legwork.
You know what our next task should be?
Ranking the Silent Realms in Skyward Sword.
They are all F. No. All the shrine.
All the shrines. No.
No, that is a big.
The
Just kidding.
apparatus shrine is F tier. Sorry.
I told Daniel like a week ago that he needed to do his dungeon design videos, but on the shrines in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-mm. Oop.
That would take forever.
That would take us. That would take me a while.
And you'd have to do like 3 shrines per video.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Each video would be like in the atmosphere of this one.
Yeah,
I know.
that I'm not doing that. All right.
I will
sounds
say
terrible.
that all I forget what they're called. The one where you walk in and there's just a chest because you
The
You
blessing
did it.
shrines.
blessing shrines. All of those are S tier for me.
Just walk in, open the box.
Except when I
done.
walk in and it's like some stupid little ice rod that I will never use because it's like 15 whatever. Then it's F tier.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they named a lot of the shrines after the developers who made them,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
was the lead designer of the shrine.
Right.
And how, like, imagine you having an incredible idea for a shrine, and then you get assigned to make a shrine, but it's one that you just walk in and get the chest, and you're like, but I had this really cool puzzle.
You get it named after you. Okay.
Oh no. I'd feel bad. I'd feel really bad. Yeah. Yeah, man.
People were asking about Majora's Mask. I'm like, there's only 4.
Yeah, that's why we didn't do
Ooh,
Majora's
ooh.
Mask.
Iconic Castle.
I guess you could count like we could do like the like the mid dungeon, like Iconic Castle, maybe the spider houses. I don't know.
Yeah, because
Just to round it
Iconic
out.
Castle's a mini dungeon, but it's like a really big mini dungeon.
It's almost
And there's dancing
full-
skeletons.
That's true. And dancing redeads.
Mm-hmm.
That are literally doing inside fouettes, which I'm pretty sure is not a thing. As a dancer,
It's
like
an
fouettes
ability.
are on day or not on day dawn.
It's an ability you can only unlock after dying. And then when
And
you're
also having a certain mask on.
right.
Not on you, but on someone else who's near you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
correct.
they have 0 plie. They are on demi point the entire time, and they do not plie at all, and they're doing it on day dawn. That is not possible. It is only on day or, and you have to plie.
Is Geek speaking a different language right
Yes, she's speaking
Literally, though,
dance.
French.
She's oh, okay.
Those are all
Literally
French
French.
terms. It's, yeah. Plie means to bend. Demi point means half point. On day or
So-
means out. On day dawn means in.
Do we still want to do 2 or 3 questions before we leave?
Yeah,
I
think so.
must leave. I always leave before the
Mm.
mailbag.
She runs. She doesn't
Alright.
want to answer.
I
Her,
had
her
enough
answers are too
answering
controversial.
for this life.
You saw.
I'm cool to
you
stick
saw what
around for a
happened?
couple questions.
She tried to answer that music
Cool.
question. You saw what happened.
I broke.
Broke the dang brain.
I could not. I could not. But also, though, I legit have a headache. I think I just haven't had enough water.
Oh no.
Well,
Yeah, stay
Thank you for
hydrated.
joining, Geek.
Yes. Until
for
next
hanging out.
time, y'all.
If you could have any of the people watching check out one video on your channel, what would it be?
Oh!
Just so I've done
It depends. If you're a Zelda person, maybe that weird theory video I did about the hand. It's older. It's not the best, but I enjoyed doing that one. If you're a Hunger Games fan, my video about why Katniss said yes to a Hunger Games because she didn't. How to train your dragon, probably.
How to change your dragon?
How to train your dragon.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't done those in a while. Actually, no, I thought I hadn't done one in a year, and then I looked through my log. I did one like 2 months ago. I was like, wow. apparently did one recently. So, oh, Vernon just donated $5 super chat and said Hylian Gamecast equals S tier.
Oh,
He's so
thanks,
nice.
friendo.
So sweet. Thank you, Vernon.
That's so nice because someone earlier said we needed to all be in the D tier.
Collectively, like each of us
Not
independently
you.
in the D tier, but then once we come together, we're greater than the sum of our parts. S tier.
Natsu said she's leaving because the AI can't come up with multiple questions. It has to focus on one meaning. One meaning Tubes is the real human. Multiple
Here, get
answers.
spicy.
Natsu has cracked the code.
I was gonna say that's the other question. If we're the same person, which one is the person, or are neither of us the person? And there's actually a third party who made two AIs.
I was gonna say 100%. I would be the third party that made 2 AIs, and I'm like off on the couch having a snooze.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, no, I am the Geek Apprentice. I usually stream on Fridays. I haven't in a while. We'll see if I do tomorrow now that I've finished all of my choreography for recital. And yet I'm not going to have a video this week because I was like, I just need my brain to stop doing things for a little bit. But yeah, I'm on YouTube and the Instagram. Yeah, I promote things on Twitter sometimes because people are on there too. So I was like, I guess so. Yeah, that's me. I'm a geek and I talk about things. And I'm getting closer to 10,000, which is really cool. I'm still over 1,000 away, but still.
Getting
I'm at like
close.
8,900 something.
Getting close.
It's exciting. But yeah, I'm going to go drink some water
Do that.
and go to sleep.
Well,
Have a
thank
good
you for
night.
being here.
Thanks for joining again.
Bye.
And then there were... Oh, I gotta fix the stream layout now. Oops. Oops. Hold up. I'm gonna fix this. There's... I'm gonna fix...
I'm just trying to explain the origin of the very naughty D in chat.
Oh, no. The people need to know.
Bonnie mentioned it, so I just wanted to be like, hey, like, I died streams.
Yes.
Bergerson typoed. Instead of pressing F in chat for when I died, he pressed D, so everyone just says D in my chat when I die in a game.
That's true. Jesse,
Take that how you will.
you rotated, by the way. But now you're back.
It's okay.
You're all good.
It happens sometimes.
It does. It
Jesse
happens
was
to the best
texting.
of us. Sometimes we rotate. It happens. So yeah, I meant to say big F because she died. You know, you press F to pay respects, and and I accidentally hit D, and then we just kept going with it, and now we just
You know how it goes when your friend makes a spelling mistake somewhere and then everyone just laughs at that person for the next year?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess it's mailbag time, right?
Mailbag.
Mailbag. So people, throw us your mailbag questions in the mailbag channel, the live chat, and or the Discord channel, and we may or may not answer them depending on how good a question it is, or if we feel like it, or if we see it, or even read it. Also, I got called out last time. I actually missed a question. Apparently.
Oh my gosh.
From
What'd you miss?
𝗏𝗏𝗏 pinged me last week after the podcast, said 2 Discord questions for the mailbag were skipped on your last podcast. One by myself and one by Natsu. Okay, so I said I'd make sure that we got to them. So to start off with, this question is from 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Hey guys, I'm illiterate. Okay, the question is,
Word.
with the much darker tone that Breath of the Wild 2 is taking, might we see a return of oh no, I don't like this question. Might we see a return of scarier enemies from the past like Redeads, or perhaps even a resurrected dead hand, aka my actual childhood nightmares?
Oh my gosh. I would love that. You remember when we were going through like their old drawings for concepts of bosses and enemies that they wanted to use, but it was like too spooky, so they didn't?
Yeah.
Remember, I was so into that. I would love if they gave us
The
a spookier
Eldritch
and
horror
darker Legend of Zelda.
enemies?
However, I don't know if it would suit Breath of the Wild.
But
Yeah,
would it
was
suit
if
Breath of
they
the Wild
had
sequel?
Tim Burton make Zelda bosses.
Yeah. Oh man, those Eldritch abominations though. It's a great design, but
They
too
were
scary.
huge too.
3
I
scary.
love
One was just a face with really long legs.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it was
that's basically
scary.
just a spider. Come on.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Unless you've got it somewhere. Jesse's leaving. He has the JPEG. He has the PNG.
Oh, he's just gone. Now
gone.
this is the Burger and 𝗵𝗵𝗄 cast.
Oh,
never
no.
mind, he's back.
That was
Oh, he
weird.
back.
Busted.
He back.
It logged me back into Discord on my computer for some reason.
Weird. Wait, does that mean you can switch mics?
No.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Me too.
I
'Cause
gotta
clicked
find-
on it just to see if it would work. And, like, yeah. It doesn't load any of the chats or anything.
Mm.
Tisk.
Because I was going to go look for questions on the Discord, but I couldn't find any. It didn't give me a chance to look.
Boop, doop, doop. Here it is. I found it. So this is creating a champion, page 204. These
I love them.
abominations
Mm-hmm.
that no one should ever have to face.
Oh, it's the crab dude.
Why are they
Dude.
so scary?
Yeah, that one with the weird beard, that's the one I was talking about.
And look at Link for scale beside it.
Mm-hmm.
Link for scale.
He's too
It's like-
tiny.
Do you think they would be bigger than Twin Mold in Majora's Mask?
What?
What, is it Twin Mold in Majora's Mask?
Twin Mold.
Stone
Oh, yeah,
Tower
yeah, yeah.
Temple?
Big old wormies. Is he muted? Is it just me?
Yeah, you-
Oh,
no?
Nope,
We're
nope.
fine.
Okay, you cut out for a sec for me.
Mm.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
So sorry, I got really excited about Spooky.
Mhm.
What
Hmm.
do you guys think about it?
Sure, I'm
I
down.
like the spooky ones.
But don't make it too much. Like one dungeon with the spoop, and then I'm good. One.
It would be interesting because, like, I don't know if you guys are in the mindset that it's the calamity that corrupted the Master Sword to make it look all funky like it does now, in the new clip that they had, or the malice, yeah.
Mm.
So, if the malice could corrupt the normal enemies like bokoblins and stuff and transform them into other scary enemies, like in Twilight Princess when a fused shadow would touch like a 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 and then it would turn into that giant weird thing that you fight in the forest temple, or the 𝗙𝗏𝗃𝗄𝗁, I think, like touched the mirror and transformed the ice boss. So how it turns them into like a monster version of themselves.
Right.
Mhm.
So it would be cool to see like some of the bokoblins or Lionels or other enemies. No, actually a Wizrobe. I want to see a Wizrobe get a weird form like that.
It'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool to see some new enemies that aren't just like returning enemies from old games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I could see them bringing back new old things, like, or you know, they do that a lot. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I think the big thing is making sure that it's like difficult, but like not so difficult that it deters new players from playing, right?
hmm
Because it's not like Zelda games really have a difficulty cap.
Ooh. Imagine a bokoblin riding on a Lionel, and they're both shooting arrows at you.
oh no,
Sounds
I don't think the
scary.
Lionel would allow that.
I don't think so either.
that's why we haven't seen it yet. They're like, nah. Nah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can ride horses,
Yes.
and the enemies can interact because the Hinoxes will throw the bokoblins. So
and
they could do it
even
they wanted to.
moblins will throw bokoblins, and they're not even
Yeah.
that much bigger. Mhm.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us. Yeah.
Sorry, give us what?
I was just gonna say, give us the spooky monsters.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Spoopy.
Thank you.
But I don't think I could do Dead Hand again.
Mm,
I think he's too.
Oh, imagine like
too
like
scary.
New Age Dead Hand.
yeah,
I don't-
more
I don't need-
detailed.
I don't need HD Dead Hand. I'm good, thanks. Mm-mm.
Did you say that Natsu had a question? Natsu's very confused. That
Well, it's from like 22 days ago. We might have gotten it before, but I'll read it anyways. The question was, do you think the Master Coral, as it's known, will be usable as a weapon in its current state, or will we have to restore it to its original state first?
Mm.
I think it would actually be pretty neat being able to kind of use it in its melted Swiss cheese state,
Mhm.
but maybe it's like got like really bad damage output, like it's like really not strong. But maybe good as like a very last resort type of weapon. Maybe no sword beams allowed.
I talked about that a little bit on the video that I posted yesterday. I think it
You
was
did.
yesterday. In the original Breath of the Wild, in the files, there are equipable broken or damaged swords, and in the I almost said Hyrule Historia, the Creating a Champion book has 3 different damaged master swords. One is lightly damaged, one is medium damaged, and then one is medium damaged with malice.
Right.
And the one that has malice is apparently in the files of the actual game, and when you hack the game to make it equipable, it only does 1 damage, 1 point of damage.
Wow. Okay.
So I wonder if whatever idea they originally had for that, they're just bringing it back for this and then updating it and changing the way it looks. Because it looks better now than it did. Because before it was just the way that Zelda had it when she took it back to the old tree dude.
Right.
But
Huh.
people call it the Coral Sword? Or the Master Coral?
The Master Coral. It does.
In my video,
does look like
because
coral.
it was damaged by malice, I
Right.
called it the Malice Sword.
Wait, what? The Master Coral? Oh my gosh, I was sitting here very confused the whole time. I googled the Master Coral.
Oh my
'cause I
God.
was like, what are they talking
Kayla.
about?
Kayla, no, just because the Master Sword is like really damaged. It's like melted Swiss cheese.
It looks like coral.
It's Natsu being funny. I got the joke.
Oh my god, I didn't get it.
I think it actually, because I did that enhanced video thing that I sent you and Rick, Daniel,
Right.
and it looks like the circular round designs that's on like the Guardians. It looks like the sword's starting to have that on it, or like the ancient armor, like it has those weird swords, or maybe it's just the coral effect.
I think it's just sort of like the weird melted effect of it. Like someone else, I can't remember who it was, another YouTuber posted about a similar connection. Basically like a side by side of the melted design and then like some of those Sheikah swirls and being like, whoa, there's something here. And I was like, I saw that and my immediate reaction, I didn't comment or anything to say no hate to them or whatever, but I was like, this is a reach. Like this is a big reach. Like you're stretching your arms and leaning forward and you've got one of those grabby hands that janitors use. That's how much of a reach it is. So I don't see it. I don't see it.
But good
Like
guy Ganon.
Sorry, it's Ganon?
Good guy Ganon.
No.
Every time.
No. Things we don't talk about.
To get a rise out of Daniel.
Yeah. That's going on the list of things we don't talk about. Fight Club, Bruno. Good guy Ganon. All right. So yeah. Any other thoughts about the Master Coral being usable? Thoughts, feelings?
I think you'll be able to use it, but it'll just be the way it was in the original game when you hacked it in. Just 1 damage, shorter range, basically useless, but you technically still have something to attack stuff with.
Okay, but if it's usable, you know people are going to be like Master Coral only run of the game. That's going to be like a speedrun category or something.
Oh my god.
Like, and I'm here
so
for
funny.
it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, well, let's move on. Next question is from Still Sane Shane. Mailbag, do you think we will see a return of the Minish this time around? What about Kinstones? I think they would be a great alternative to the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Find them, match them up, obtain a reward. Hope you're all having a swell day. Thank you. We are. I like that, but I have mixed feelings about that. Because the Kinstones, I don't like the Kinstones that much in Minish Cap. Because there's like a bit of RNG to it, I think. And it's really annoying trying to 100% complete everything and match all those Kinstones. And you have like 30 of like one type. And then you don't have the one that you need. And it's just like, I just found it like irritating. But if done right, it would be better than Korok seeds. I agree. I also just don't think 900 of them is good. I think we need to tone the number down.
So many. I still think that Nintendo's gonna try and like up themselves on that one.
Yeah.
Like there's 900 on the ground, 900 in the sky, and then 900 in the caves.
Please no.
But the thing is, no, like if you're doing Kinstones, you have to have just as many NPCs to interact with and fuse Kinstones with. You know? But the Minish were like, not the Minish themselves, but a like Minish like race, or the idea of having tiny people was cut from Breath of the Wild. And this game does seem to be reusing a lot of cut content from the first game, so it's not out of the question.
Interesting thought.
Jesse looks so deep in thought.
So, do you remember the set of concept art? Like, Nintendo didn't release it in Creating a Champion, but it was on the like the GDC.
It was in one of the those like making of videos, wasn't it? Where they showed it.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing a sword that's like all damaged and stuff like that. Like the way that the Master Sword is now. And I'm trying to look for that on the computer. I think it's the image where he has like the robot hand thing in one hand, and then the other one he's holding like that weird wide short sword.
Yeah. And that I know what you're talking about. So that concept art, yeah, he's got like the robot hand. It's like a Sheikah technology hand, and it's the Master Sword is broken in his other hand. It's a broken Master Sword. So it's totally like they're reusing that concept. Except his robot hand is actually now a magic hand instead. I do want to kind of take this opportunity though, while we're talking about the Minish, to kind of clear up a bit of misconception about that, if I may.
So, if I can get it for everyone. That's it.
There it is.
Oh yeah, that. Okay.
That's the one. See, broken Master Sword, robot hand.
Yeah, and the robot hand turns into like a bunch of hammers and bows and stuff.
Yeah. Now, I also just put on screen here this concept art that everybody cites as Minish being cut. This was a piece of concept art shown as this is their people's evidence for the Minish being cut from Breath of the Wild, because they showed this, they talked about it or whatever, and but just to clear up the misconception about it, it wasn't actually Minish. they just said we had the idea of including tiny people. And it's here's the quote actually from 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. We had this idea of including tiny people. Since this is a 3D game, we could have all these tiny sized towns and wanted Link himself to be able to shrink. We thought it would be fun. We thought it was, super fun if we had all these tiny characters all over the place. But with all these other characters that stand out, we thought it would be difficult for these little guys to be able to live out their own place in the game. So we really wanted to have them in there for the gameplay, but sadly had to give up on that idea. So they never actually say that it's Minish, and the little character that they have there is actually a reused character model from Skyward Sword of a Hylian character or 𝗏𝗏𝗃 character, not an actual Minish. So they just talked about tiny people, but they never actually said it was Minish. just to put that out there.
Where was that interview from?
Is
that the one from Zelda's official website?
I have to find the source on it. It's just
that
has
doesn't mind then.
𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 as the source on this one here. But I believe that's from the one of those making of videos actually.
There's old blogs, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, blogs. Leading up to the release of Breath of the Wild, when they would put out random concept artwork, and some of it ended up in creating a champion, like the heart-shaped grass thing, the Winter Link one. But they would put up updates on that, and they would have the thing with how they had the Skyward Sword pedestals all over instead of the Koroks. They talked about that and some other stuff.
Right.
But there's a lot of interesting beta stuff on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be really weird wandering around Hyrule in Breath of the Wild, trying to get away from the Guardians and Lynels, and then you just stumble across a tiny little house.
It would be weird. It really would be weird.
On the person that owns it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, those aren't Minish style houses either. They're just like houses,
like the regular houses that you see out there.
Whereas the Minish, like, they like lived in shoes and stuff, and like old boots and trees. And
I feel it would be closer to like they'd be right outside of 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 village, so they could go in and fix everyone's shoes at night.
Yeah. Yeah, if the Minish were in the game, that's what they'd be doing. So,
and the Minish were a lot shorter too.
They were smaller. They were definitely smaller than that. So, yeah.
They're like half an inch tall. Those things are like 6 inches tall.
Yeah. So a bit of a just to clear up a misconception there, but yeah, I still would like to see them come back though. I thought the Minish were super cool. I thought they were a great addition to the lore and stuff too. So. And they're cute.
Yeah, cute.
They're cute.
Laughing in the chat because someone keeps saying that you look like Spider-Man.
Well,
Alien Rope says, "Hi, you were the best Spider-Man."
Okay. Thank you.
So, random?
Yes.
In this concept art, there's an image with Link. He has like a bunch of bags on the back of his horse, and there's a fishing pole sticking out of it.
Oh my gosh, fishing minigame.
Fishing coming back.
I will
Jesse's
know-
favorite
I need-
edition.
I'll
need
no longer
more.
have to bomb fish in Breath of the Wild.
That's gonna be the new bomb lure. The lure's gonna go on the end of the fishing rod, and then it explodes. Bomb lure.
That would actually be kind of cool.
It could be.
Okay, do we have a final question?
Sure. Let's. Those three were all from Discord, so I'll pull the last one from the chat here. I saw Justin actually asked one. Just scrolling up to it. What do you think Link did to get back on the good graces with Zelda to be buried in the castle after Majora's Mask? By good graces, I didn't mean that he lost it, but I feel like he had to do something big to be buried there. So to clarify what I think Justin is referring to is in the graveyard of Twilight Princess, there's a widespread theory that the grave, what it says is like the cursed swordsman sleeps beneath the sacred tree, and there's like a grave under the tree. And the I want to say commonly accepted theory is that it's the Hero of Time's grave. because what other cursed swordsman would it be? But probably the hero's shade, who is the hero of time.
A cursed swordsman.
Mm-hmm. He's the only cursed swordsman that we know in the game, so it makes sense.
There is a cursed JIWANI, but that's a different story.
He's not a swordsman. He's a cat person. He's a cat owner.
He's a cat.
He's the cat man, not to be mistaken with the scat man. So, but I always just felt like he didn't do anything like big after like because he comes back at the end of Ocarina of Time. He comes back in time. He warns the royal family about Ganondorf. Ganondorf gets like not quite executed, and then I would always assume that he like just stayed on good terms with them, you know, like because him and Zelda would have had to have been close enough friends for her to give him like the Ocarina of Time at the end of or before Majora's Mask, like between those two games, right? So like that's like their sacred family treasure, and she gives it to him as like a gift to take with him. So they must have been close, at least, but during the time between those games, I think. So even though she wouldn't have known that he already had it, I guess. So time travel.
I would say if I had to really think about it, he probably had a life very similar to Breath of the Wild Link, where he just like grew up in the part of their military knights thing.
Mm.
And then I guess never actually got to save Hyrule as an adult.
Didn't have to. That's probably for the better, right?
Almost. I also wonder if it's like not symbolic, just like almost an inside joke. I don't know what the right word is to use, but where that one interview said that Twilight Princess, after it left being Wind Waker 2, it was in that stage where it was just like a third Ocarina of Time or a third Hero of Time game.
Right.
So I wonder if they just used that as like a little nod to, we were going to use this Link, but now he's dead.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm thinking too hard on it.
I don't think Nintendo thought that hard about it.
I don't think they did.
No, they only think hard about fishing games.
Yeah, about fishing.
Like Vernon. Okay. I was gonna say, on the topic of fishing, Vernon Hardapple has super chatted $5.
Ooh.
Anybody ever actually find the dang elusive sinking lure in Ocarina? I've been trying off and on for almost a quarter century.
I've done it once. It was on stream before I started archiving my streams, sadly. And I only found it because someone was like, oh, you gotta find the thing. And I was like, I don't know how to get it, whatever. I couldn't remember. And they were like, gave me very clear instructions of how to get it. And I did it on the stream.
Yeah.
And then that's the only time I've done it. So
I remember my brother did it once. I watched him do it. And then I forgot entirely about what the sinking lure was. But every time I return back to the fishing spot in Ocarina of Time, I'm always looking for something, but I don't know what I'm looking for.
the thing is, you
Because
don't
I
have
remember
like
him
a visual indicator of where to find it, you know?
No. I just remember him finding something there, and like even years later, I'm like, what was that thing again? And now I'm reminded it's the sinking lure.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's like, why do you have this here if it's cheating?
It's what he uses. The fisher,
I know.
the guy who runs the fishing hole. And then he hides it so no one sees.
So two spots I remember getting it is the little creek thing that like runs from the one side to the pond. It like flows into it. Usually there's one around there, or the little lily pads right next to that little stream. And that sunken log that you can stand on, usually in front of it, it's at one of those areas, but it's not all it doesn't always render it into the game. It's just like sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not.
Oh.
And I think there's a higher chance of it being there if it's raining or storming. And if it's raining or storming, the bigger fish are also more active to bite. So
I didn't know that.
it's better to fish if it is storming, basically.
Always. You always fish in the rain. Best fish.
Mm-hmm. And I think, doesn't the shop owner guy, the fishing guy, he has no legs?
He might have no legs. modeled in. Canonically speaking,
Yeah.
I think he has legs, but I think they just don't model them.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that we spoke with that on the podcast once. They just didn't model his legs in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can steal his hat with a fishing pole as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And he will never have it again if you don't give it back to him.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of funky stuff you can do in the game if you buy a fishing pole and then just leave.
You can't leave with the fishing pole.
You know.
You have to have the hover. You have to put the hover boots on, run on the water so you're floating. Throw the fishing pole while you're floating, and then when Link falls, you'll be able to make him move around again, and then you can leave.
Just
It's,
breaking the game.
Yeah.
It was the swordless Link glitch. It was the one way of doing it.
I'm calling snitches on the glitches here.
There's a bunch of cool stuff you could do with it, but yeah. It's
All
cool.
Nintendo.
Also, final trivia fact is the great-great-granddaughter or something like that, fishing lady and
Mm-hmm.
Twilight Princess is maybe related, or at least in love with him because she has a picture of him hanging up on her wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But her
She says
fishing pond is much cooler.
She says, I believe, if you ask her about it in the game, she says that she believes she is related to him. So, like, even she's not, like, sure. But she believes so, that she's descended from him. But the worst part of that is that she
like
runs
worships
the
him.
roll goal minigame. and no thanks. And
Nintendo
that
should just release that as a mobile phone game.
no. And you know what? That roll goal minigame is back in Kirby.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
wait, what do you get for winning roll goal?
Nothing good. I think it's maybe a lure or something to use in the fishing pond. I don't remember. I always skip it. I'm like, I'm not doing frickin' roll goal. I refuse. This is a no roll goal run of Twilight Princess. Yeah, no.
There should be a speed run where it's like the first person to get to roll goal.
Roll goal percent run.
Yeah.
There might be one.
Daniel,
Jesse.
tell us about yourself. How you doing?
Well, I was born in no. I'm Daniel. AKA you may find all my things, all my socials, and my channel is all capped Burgerson. CAPTBURGERSON, as in, oh, there's the captain. It's actually a hamburger. It's actually my dad. And I make Zelda videos sometimes. There's going to be a bit of a gap because I'm in between games. So, like, I just finished doing all the dungeon design videos for Twilight Princess. And I'm now working on the next game. And so whenever I start over or start a new game, I, like, throw everything in the trash and, like, make a brand new intro, make all this brand new assets and stuff like that for it. So, and then I got to, of course, play the game and record all the footage and stuff. So it takes time. But yeah, I got some stuff, and I'm also getting close. I'm like less than 30 subs away from 2,000, which nice. I say sitting here on Jesse's channel, who has over 100,000, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm it's still a big deal to me, and I'm happy about it. So we're getting close, very close to the 2,000 mark, which is great. So but yeah, I make some. Oh, well, there's some spam. I'm just gonna get rid of that. Gonna. There you go. So just get rid of that. Actually, Kayla beat me to it. But yes, I do those Zelda videos. It's a great time. We talk about Zelda dungeons. We talk about Zelda characters. We talk about Zelda stuff. And I stream some video games. And that's also a good time. Every Wednesday and every Saturday. Wednesday morning, Saturday night. So that's me. I'm done talking now.
I think you're just using that as an excuse on why your next dungeon design video is going to take a while. I think secretly, you just add like 5 minutes to every new video you make. So they just get so long that it just takes like an extra week to make them.
There's that. No, that there totally is that. They keep getting longer and longer. Because my last few have been like, well, all the Twilight Princess ones were like 30 minutes and up. And then like the City in the Sky one was like the longest. It's like 45 minutes or something. It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to, like, it doesn't feel like time wasted. It's like, oh, it's moving the whole time. It's moving. So there's just a lot of stuff.
True.
True. It's gonna be good. Yeah. Yeah. I was actually.
Oops.
Yes. Go on. Sorry. I'm done.
Oh, no.
No. Tell us.
I was gonna say, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, man, when I was doing my run of Twilight Princess dungeon videos, like, they were taking me so much longer to make than like my previous ones. And then I was looking through my list of videos. I'm like, well, no wonder. These are like 15, 20-minute videos, not like 40, 45-minute videos. Of course it took me longer. So
You just like gave up and started making video essays.
yeah, that's what it is. Totally video essays. You know, people make 40-minute videos about a single game. Apparently I make 40-minute videos about a single level of a game. So forget me. Yeah, I don't halfway do anything.
10-minute video about those shrines we were talking about earlier. We just walk in and get the chest.
I'm not doing the shrines. Not for that. But yes, Tubes.
Tubes. You can find me on Twitter at 𝗙𝗵𝗲, and you can find me on Instagram, but I don't really post there, at 𝗙𝗵𝗲. And also streaming, I have been doing more of lately. I am thinking at this point it'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. PST. We will do a stream and hang out, and it will be a good time. And if I have time to do a bonus stream, then hoopla! You can find me at twitch.tv/𝗙𝗵𝗲 with an extra A. And I try to be here on the podcast when I can on Thursdays. That's me. Oh, and I post my VODs to my YouTube at 𝗙𝗵𝗲. Jesse!
Hi, I am Jesse. I come here once a week when Daniel permits me to have outside communication. And if you want to follow anything from me, you can just look Game Over Jesse at Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or any other place, probably. And you can join the Discord, so you can submit your questions for the mailbag ahead of time. And there are links to Daniel and Tubes and Geek and me and everyone in the description for the Twitter and YouTube channels and Twitches and all that other fun stuff.
Beans!
What?
It's good to have you back, Jesse. Missed you.
We missed you. It's true.
I thought you guys were waiting for me to end the podcast, but I'm like, but Daniel's
Nope.
the one streaming.
That's on me.
No, I'm just being sentimental. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go check out Jesse's video that he uploaded yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday. Go watch that, everybody, if you haven't already.
I did some really cool super slow-mo stuff
Yeah.
that took forever to render out.
I bet.
Yeah.
All right.
The
All right,
fears of
all right.
rendering. All right, I'm going to hit end stream now. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you for being here. Appreciate